Greetings, everyone. Glenn Kellaway from the basement. Hope everyone's having a great day. I thought I would do a whack-a-mole this morning. I know that's Mazzy's phrase, so I call it stealing from Mazzy. No, like a random record poll or something. My dog's eating my hat. Freaking dog. Leave it alone. Anyway, so bear with me for a sec. So I'm going back here. I'm going to pull a few CDs at random, blindfolded kind of, and then we'll come back and talk. So just talk amongst yourselves, whatever you want to do. Okay, I pulled 12 CDs. Bear with me, I'll put my mic back on. There we go. Thanks for bearing with me there for a sec. I pulled 12 CDs, and let's see what I got. I have no idea. Patricia Barber, one of my favorite jazz artists. Very unique jazz artist from Chicago. She plays at a place called the Green Room every Monday night in Chicago. I got a chance to see her in Toronto at a place called Hughes Room once. She always plays with like a trio, maybe a fourth guy. Her records are always really kind of interesting. I'm going to say that. She adds a bit of almost psychedelic, the kind of sultry piano jazz, but there's always some great percussion. There's always great guitar. Her best album, in my opinion, is Cafe Blue. But she has some great records. Modern Cool's another great one. This one's Split is a fairly early album from her, I think. 1989. Always well recorded records. That's what she's known for. If you're a bit of an audiophile or you like great sounding records, she's amazing. I'm trying to see if this has anything on it. These are all pretty much original tunes on here. I don't see anything like a jazz standard. Yeah, Patricia Barber. Early Autumn, written by Joni Mercer, I'm assuming that is. Cole Porter, Easy to Love. Lerner and Lane, Too Late Now. Henry Mancini, Two for the Road. So there's a few on here. And anyway, very interesting artist. I'm a big fan. I have all of her albums. The Black Keys. The name of the album is Brothers. This is an okay album. I kind of like the Black Keys. They're like a poor man's version of the White Stripes. They always felt like they kind of followed in that footsteps with the drummer, guitar player thing. Although Dan Auerbach, the main guy in this band, is a bit more, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. Jack White has a pretty well-rounded style. Yeah, very similar type stuff. I think you kind of know this stuff. It's rock. It's rock and stuff. Daryl Hall, Before After. I'm a big Hall & Oates fan. Daryl Hall's one of the great singers of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And this album came out last year. It's called Before After. It's a career retrospective of Daryl Hall's solo career. It also has a few tracks on here from the Daryl Hall Daryl's House show. There's a couple of songs on here from that. It's a pretty good comp. I like that first song, "I'm Living in Dreamland." Sacred Songs. There's, if you know, the Daryl's first solo album was called Sacred Songs. It was actually produced by Robert Fripp. Seems like a weird combination, Daryl Hall and Robert Fripp, but it worked. That's a picture of that album right there. Yeah, just a pretty good comp. Here's Daryl's house. Yes, Daryl Hall. One of my heroes. One of the greatest musicians on earth as far as I'm concerned. Bayla Fleck, The Imposter. This is a work he did with the Nashville Symphony Orchestra. Bayla wrote this piece that they performed. It's called The Imposter Concerto. Now, it's hard to find, but there was a documentary made on the making of this and how Bayla created this piece of music. It's really interesting, really well done. I mean, this is a banjo player making music for symphony orchestras. I mean, he's in that. You know, you always talk about Frank Zappa being a genius composer. Bayla's right up there as far as I'm concerned. It's just he plays a banjo, so people don't get it. But trust me. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Into the Great Wide Open. Behind Wildflowers, this might be my second favorite Tom Petty album, although this CD suffers from the loudness wars really bad, very compressed. It almost gives you a headache when you listen to it. It's so loud. But Learning to Fly's on here, Into the Great Wide Open. Yeah, it's a pretty good album, produced by Jeff Lynne. My favorite Joni Mitchell album I pulled, Hey Jira. I've got about probably 8 Joni Mitchells there. It's funny I pulled this one. I think this is for people who have trouble with Joni's voice. Some people don't like that soprano thing she does or whatever. And but she's a great writer, great musician. And this album is, I think, more accessible for those kind of people. Her voice is a bit deeper. Coyote's on here, which everybody's familiar with The Last Waltz she performed. Amelia, my favorite Joni Mitchell song, is on here. Furry Sings the Blues, Hajira. Black Crow, she does a cover of Steely Dan. And yeah, great record. Oh, Canada. Boy, one of Canada's favorite bands, Tragically Hip. And tragically still struggling with the passing of Gord Downie, one of the great Canadian musicians, great songwriter, leader of this band. This is my favorite Tragically Hip album too, Road Apples. This one rocks. This is I think, their strongest album. Little Bones, Twist My Arm, Three Pistols. Great record this one is. If you want to get into the Tragically Hip, I check Road Apples out, is great. I pulled a Zeppelin album, Presence. It would rank probably 6th in my Zeppelin albums, but there's the opening track, Achilles' Last Stand, is probably in my top 5 Zeppelin songs. So, Presence. I pulled a couple of, oh geez, I ended up with 2 of those. That's fluky. Okay. I pulled out, I've got my top row on this side, right here, is all my audiophile CDs. So they're not mixed in with the other stuff. So it's a whole mix of stuff. So I wouldn't know what I was pulling from there. I grabbed Emerson, Lake and Palmer Trilogy, my favorite Emerson, Lake and Palmer album. my favorite Emerson, Lake and Palmer song, From the Beginning. If you've never heard that song, check it out. The Sheriff's on here. Hoedown's on here. I mentioned Bayla Fleck on one of his albums. Bayla Fleck and the Flecktones do an incredible version of Hoedown. Yeah, this is an excellent prog album. Bayla Fleck and the Flecktones. Or Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Okay, because I pulled from up top, I pulled the Clapton CD. Again, one of my favorite Clapton albums. And I'm on an Eric Clapton kick like frickin' crazy since I got that 24 Nights box set, which is absolutely fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Journeyman, great album. Came out in early 80s, I believe. A lot of great songs. This is a really strong album. Pretending was a great song, kind of a hit. Bad Love, great song on here. Running on Faith, beautiful ballad. Hard Times, cover of Ray Charles' song. No Alibis is great. Old Love, Before You Accuse Me. Excellent album. This is an SACD, which sounds really, really good. From Audio Fidelity. It came in this fancy little case. While we're on the Clapton kick, I pulled this actually from the alphabetized collection there. Eric Clapton live in San Diego with special guest J.J. Cale. Derek Trucks. I just saw Tedeschi Trucks the other night. Fantastic. Derek Trucks is just an amazing guitar player. He was the second guitarist on this tour. They do a lot of great stuff from Derek and the Dominoes on here, and just a lot of great songs. Tell the Truth's on here. Any Day, Little Wing, Got to Get Better in a Little While, Key to the Highway. I think what drags this down is the J.J. Cale stuff, and I'm a big J.J. Cale fan. I just think it kind of changed the whole mood of this CD. So that's the way I feel about it. Last but not least, Steppenwolf 7. Larry Graves is going to be happy I pulled the Steppenwolf album. He's a big fan. This is, I'm going to guess, their 7th album. And 40 Days and 40 Nights. Foggy Mental Breakdown, being a banjo player, that's kind of cool. And maybe the longest song title in history, one word, Ears Chipolo to the Boomer. I don't know how to say that. This is the 8th track there. I'm not pronouncing that. I dare Larry Graves to pronounce that. And yeah, that's pulls. 13 minutes, 12 albums. Everyone have a great Sunday. Remember the thumbs, and we'll talk soon.